Route 5. It's just people are still coming in.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to call to order today's meeting of the Architectural Review Board. We have members Mossberg, Sirota, and Huff present, so that establishes a quorum. The agenda for today has been distributed. We have 6 applications. We'll be going in reverse order. So there's no continuations. We'll go straight to new matters and start with 2025-33, Weinstein 4 Meadow Way fence.
Somebody's here.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hello, sorry, we had 2 outstanding applications. Which one is this for?
We'll start with the fence.
The fence, thank you. Okay, give me 1 second. So, just to preface, my wife and I just moved from Connecticut to Irvington last month. We're very excited to be here, to be a part of the community. We have a couple projects that we wanted to take care of right at the outset of our time in Irvington. The first of which that we're going to be speaking about is this backyard fence project. When we were at our old place in Connecticut, we had a backyard fence for our dog, and it was a huge benefit to our lives. So we just wanted to have one installed on this property as well. Second, so the goal of this project is to install about 300 feet of fence around the perimeter of our backyard at 4 Meadow Way. The primary and first goal of this will be to provide our dog with a safe place to go to the bathroom and play without us needing to leave the home every single time that we need to let her out or monitor her every time that she goes out, as well as our family grows, allow our children a safe and protected space to play that essentially protects them from the busyness and thoroughfare of the Harriman Road that runs adjacent to the south side of our property, as well as down, just general privacy at large. So the project outline is essentially about 250 feet of a white vinyl fence in the style called South Carolina Scalloped, which I can show you a photo of later in this presentation. That's going to essentially start at the midpoint of both sides of our homes and essentially extend to the boundary line and then wrap around the perimeter where there is essentially a retaining wall. It's going to basically be placed just inside of that retaining wall. One small caveat that on the side of our house that borders with Harriman Road, since that's a high thoroughfare road, we did want to include 50% of the fence on that side in a 6-foot Oklahoma vinyl as well, just to give us a little bit more privacy from that more high traffic side of the road. And in addition to that, we are also just on each side of the home going to install a walking gate. One is a smaller 3-foot walking gate and one is a 5-foot gate, just in case we want to have landscapers come back and do work on the back of the house. So this is a recent survey of the house that we had done in conjunction with our purchase of the home. And side by side with that, I've included this very clearly well done mock-up of the illustration of the fence. So as you can see, the yellow will be the fence borders that we have planned, with the green highlighted area being the 3-foot walking fence, and the orange highlighted area being the slightly larger 5-foot area for contractors to get back into the house with equipment if needed. We are going to with a firm called Dave's Fences out of Ossining for this work, which is relatively local. And so this is an example of the South Carolina scalloped fence style that we plan to use for the majority of the perimeter of this fence. We think that this matches well, both with the local fences that surround our houses as well, and the white slat paneling that essentially frames our home. And then secondary to that is the 6-foot, Privacy Oklahoma vinyl fence, same color as white, which is just going to run along 35 feet of the property on that side of the road that adjoins here. This is the signed contract that we have with Dave's for about $13,000 for total project cost for both materials and labor, as well as the relevant certificates to show that they are a licensed professional. Property photos, if this is helpful. This is along the southern or the northern portion of our property. So essentially, as you can see on the right side of this page, there's a bridge that essentially adjoins our neighbor's yard as well as ours. And our plan is to essentially have the fence begin just after that fence area and extend from there all the way to the side of the home. This is that bridge from the other side. And then looking at it from the perspective of the back of the home, this is the retaining wall that I was mentioning. We'd like the fence to essentially run along the inside perimeter of this stone retaining wall. And then this is along the western side of the property, so all the way along this western back of the property, which can also be seen from this angle, as well as our neighbor's fence, which is on the other side of that stream that borders the property. And then this is the side of the property that borders with Harriman Road. As you can see, there's currently a wire fence in a portion of this property. Basically, our thought was to have the South Carolina scallop fence run until the wire fence ends, and then have the 6-foot Oklahoma fence begin where the wire fence ends, have it extend across, and then finally, essentially have it extend across the property back to the edge of the home, and that will be essentially that. And this is just that southern side of the home from the other side, but that is essentially the highlight of this property. Do you have any questions?
So you're saying the solid fence is running along the Harriman Road side, but just half of it?
That's right. Just along, sorry, just to go back there. So you can see in this photograph right here, there's a portion of the fence or the portion of the property which gets a lot of traffic from Harriman Road. A lot of people are walking around that area. So we figured just for that one particular component, we would have an Oklahoma vinyl fence. I'm not sure you might even be able to see on the other side of the road. Our neighbors actually have a similar fence style, but in a brown color, just not the white that we've selected for this project.
So we typically discourage the vinyl fence along major thoroughfares. The half of the fence that's covered with vegetation, they're obviously not going to see it, but I'm worried about this gap here. We've had an application that came up along Broadway where we declined to let them go forward with the vinyl fence. All along Harriman, I know that neighbors across the street have that dark vinyl fence, but the rest of the road really is just stone walls, and I see maybe one stockade, and I think there's a deer fence at one point.
I mean, is there a different fence style if we went back to just simply the South Carolina scalloped along the entirety of the property, would that be preferred from your perspective?
So, yeah, I mean, it'll be less intrusive.
Yeah.
Certainly, you could go with the deer fence and vegetation to make it a solid fence. That's what a lot of people are doing.
Okay.
Stockade's another choice. I don't know what the cost differential between any of this is.
Would you consider putting a wooden fence along Harriman?
Absolutely. Yeah, we certainly would.
We're happy to be accommodating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome to the neighborhood, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're very excited to be here. Yeah, I mean, we want to make sure that this is done in a way that makes everybody happy. So we can certainly go back to our contractor and ask about options for a wood fence along that side, just to keep the consistency of the surrounding area in mind as we go about this.
So we approve this with
Contingent that they change it to,
contingent, yeah,
this way they don't have to come back.
yeah.
But then I have to, would you like us to vote with a contingency, or do you want to come back to us next month? with your
Definitely
proposal?
vote with a contingency.
Yes,
It's the
please.
ideal.
Yep.
Yeah, we would so appreciate that.
So what we could do is just put down, do you think like a stockade fence? Because that's solid.
Stockades.
Stockade fence. Yeah, stockade fence I think is just fine. Let me just
Sure.
confirm I understand exactly what you're talking about. Since this is our first time obviously doing a fence project, so we do not.
So does a stockade fence, just to make sure I'm understanding, it almost looks like it's wood logs next to each other? Oh, I see. I like how that looks a lot. So it's wood.
Yeah, it's just wooden panels going up and
Yeah.
down.
Oh, I like that.
We are totally okay with that. I will talk to our contractor and make sure that we do that along that side of the property.
Okay. All right, I have no other questions. So does anybody else have any questions?
No.
So if there's no more questions, I move that the application stated in the documentation, along with the conditional approval, wood stockade fence along Harriman, be approved. Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Aye.
All in
Second.
favor? Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
So you can go to the building department, I guess, in the next few days to get your permit.
Do we go on to our next presentation now?
Oh, right, sorry.
No, no
That
problem.
it was you.
Where?
All right, application 2025-34, Weinstein 4 Meadow Way exterior elevation changes. Okay, go ahead.
Give me 1 second. Can you still see our screen? Can you guys see the current screen?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you guys for your time and for your positive votes. So our second application is about removing a side entry door and stairs on the left west facing side of our house and the elevation of the home. And the second one is about an interior relocation of a structural wall between the kitchen and living room. This would be moving that wall about 2 feet. So about the removal of the side door and stairs. So since moving, we found ourselves not using this door at all. We're redoing the kitchen. So our hope is to remove this door, remove the elevation and access via the small exterior staircase. We find the door is a bit redundant and detracts from the symmetry and landscaping potential of the home. So here's a little bit of the plan. We have a professional on the case, the talented architect Victor Solaric, who made these plans. And our hope is that we're going to remove the door and the stairs, and we're going to seamlessly side the house to match the existing cladding and paint it to blend with the home. We'll have the foundation refinished for consistency. There will be new landscaping that will enhance the visual appeal, privacy, and sustainability. And also, you might be wondering, how about the egress? Don't worry, we have multiple egresses to the house. We have the front door, and we have a door that goes out of our dining room, which we are keeping, as well as our garage door. I mocked up a little picture of what the hope is for it to look like after. So you see beautiful landscaping, more visual beauty to an already beautiful area. So yeah, curb appeal, all that jazz. And now on to the structural interior wall. I believe, is Victor on the call?
We don't actually know. Our architect was supposed to be joining us. I don't know if he was listed as one of the attendees or not.
Well,
If you
we
guys-
actually, we only reviewed the outside of the house.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
beautiful.
okay.
So this is not needed then. This is all mapped out, but not super relevant. So we'll skip over this. But long story short, we're just hoping to change that outside area to add even more beauty to an already beautiful Irvington. The landscaping, we're hoping for beauty, sustainability, and yeah, all things to just flow with the character of the neighborhood.
Right, looks great. Nice.
Were you changing the window style on the top?
No.
That's just ChatGPT,
Oh, okay.
where we made these computer generated images, having a little bit of creative liberty.
Yeah, but that was a good question. I was wondering if I should have it redo it. But yeah, keep everything exactly the same. Minus the obvious.
All right, yeah, it looks good. Good presentation. Any questions?
No.
I move to approve the application as stated in the documentation. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
That's it. We're done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you very
appreciate
much.
your time.
All right, so we'll move to application 2025-35, 180 East 94th, LLC, 35 Main Street, exterior elevation.
Good evening. You just caught me a little off guard there. This is Douglas McClure. I'm the architect for 35 Main Street, and I will share my screen. So, I'm sure you're familiar with 35 Main Street. We came to you guys a little over a year ago, I think. You get approval for the elevation changes on Main Street and on North Continent. We weren't planning on doing anything with this elevation, which is facing north. It's the garage building at the Continent side of the property. But there was a leak that developed in the window, and the landlord and my client went ahead and removed the window, and doing so, just decided to do the exterior, and then the building department asked us to get your approval for it because it wasn't approved in the original application. So this is that elevation. We've taken the stucco that's on the west side of the building and wrapped it around to the north side. We've left the base that's brick, as is. I included, this is what the, oh, it didn't show up. So the original siding was a diamond shaped existing asphalt. I hope it was asphalt shingle that sort of covered the whole side. I thought I had a picture of it, but apparently I don't. So we've removed that and then just brought the materials on the front over to the side to make it all consistent.
So that's a new window also, or?
That was the new window. It matches existing windows on the back side of the property. It matches the window that it was there, although there was a faked arch over that window for some reason, which we just removed to make it consistent with the other windows on the building, which doesn't have arches.
I have no other questions. Is there any?
No questions.
All right, if there's no further comments, I move to approve the application as stated in the documentation. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
You too.
Right, moving on to 2025-36, Maniero, 92 Dogwood Lane fence.
Have a printout, I think. I just saw your Zoom, sorry, it did come at 3:30. So I'm putting a backyard privacy fence in. Sure, 92 Dogwood Lane. So this is the design of the fence, natural wood, stockade, privacy.
Is this just privacy around the deck, or is it going around the whole property?
Patio, just around the
Patio?
patio. It's an L shape around the patio. So those are the pictures. I've got the view from basically that's the whole area right there. So it's just an L shape. I took all the angles.
All right, I have no questions on this. Anybody else?
No.
There's no further questions. I move to approve the application as stated in the documentation. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.
I just saw you not thinking.
Next one is 2025-37 Fulford, 33 Ardsley Avenue West, addition.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. David Beauty Architect, representing the Wilfords at 33 Ardsley Avenue West. It's rear landscaping and swimming pool and some fencing. If I may, I'd like to share the screen. One second. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
So, what we have here is a 1920s 2.5-story colonial dwelling. Sits on the corner of Ardsley Avenue West and Bertha Place. Under this application, proposed to construct a rear yard garden area, which has the following improvements. To reconstruct an existing elevated patio, create a formal garden area, and seating areas, complemented by new landscaping in the rear yard, additional trees along Bertha Place, a 119 square foot pool surrounded by a small patio area, which is enclosed by a brick garden wall and a hornbeam hedge, which has a fence in between it. So if I may, I'd like to go and just show you what we're proposing. So where my cursor is now is an existing elevated patio. There's some water leaking into the basement, so that will be reconstructed. Steps down to a garden area, which consists mainly of gravel walking surfaces. There's a fence enclosure that has the hedges I spoke about. This, as you follow my cursor, is a brick garden wall, which surrounds back to another formal hedge with a fence in between, all enclosing the small 119 square foot pool, and some other seating areas and walking paths with gardens. We also propose to do some fencing along Bertha, some fencing through the rear yard, and the east property line. Got some photographs of the existing dwelling. So we have some garden walls in the front of brick. That's a side photograph of the house. Some pictures of the rear of the dwelling. That's the rear of the dwelling. That is an existing tree that's slated to be removed. There's an arborist letter because it's in poor shape. That's a photograph of some of the evergreens in the rear yard. Landscaping details. Let me jump to. So this is a 3D representation of what we're proposing. So along the side is a wood fence. There you see the brick garden wall as an enclosure for the swimming pool area. This is the raised patio area. It has an arbor that sits on top with a built-in bench for seating, possibly put a table under there for barbecues and things like that. Once I come down into the garden area, there's gravel, walking walking areas. We also have a 6-foot high hedge with a fence in between, which continues the pool surround for code requirements. And then going on the eastern side, it continues with another wooden fence. Switch to another model. This is just another view looking from Ardsley Avenue West over the top of the house, so you get an idea of what the spatial requirements are.
I don't think it changed. I don't know if you moved to another.
Oh, it didn't change? Oh, sorry about that. Clip another one. Can you see that?
No, it's not sharing.
Not sharing. For some reason, it's not letting me share that. Let's try this again. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. So this is just a representation of the elevated patio area, the arbor that's over the patio with the built-in bench and barbecue grill, maintaining, brick piers, metal railings, all that kind of tie back into the original house. The brick will be the same. Let's continue to, I can go into some materials if you'd like. I have photographs of that. See that? Start from the beginning. So we've got some materials for the walled garden, masonry materials and things of sorts. This is basically a garden plan showing the green space, the pool and the pavement areas, gravel areas at the seating area. We've got a rose trellis in the middle at the access point of the walkways. Walking path that brings you back into another garden area with gravel pavement. And then up to the elevated patio with the arbor that you saw in the last rendering, and a brick barbecue. So materials, existing brick is a red-ish. The proposal is to match existing. What you see here might not be an exact representation, but we're going to get as close as we can to what we have. There's some granite paving stones. So that's what that'll look like. Steps, in the garden areas would be granite slab steps. The gravel would be pea gravel, and we have some cobblestones in the front. So we're going to try to match as best we can what we've got there. Some of the fencing details. This, I believe, is the fence that will go along Bertha Place based on the rendering. It's wood picket, wood cedar. There's a small section of deer fence that goes through the evergreen trees at the rear of the property. Some pool fencing, that's a mesh pool fence that'll be in between the hedge. Some other service gates. There's a service gate we're proposing along Bertha Place, and a man gate at some other areas along the property lines. These are just some, other details of the pool fence, pool gate, excuse me, with the brick piers. It's a solid fence. That is a concept drawing of the swimming pool. It's basically, a couple of tiers. You could stand in it. Not a lap pool, but it's just a pool to cool off in. Rendering once again of the arbor, some of the railing and masonry inspiration that goes along for it. And as I said, all the brick will tie back into match the existing. We've got the rose trellis at the access point of the walkway. It's made of steel. And just some other landscaping photographs of what the intent of the landscaping is. That's along the entrance driveways. Some of the areas in the walled garden areas. There'll be landscaping on each side of the fencing, and on each side as best we can, and on each side of the garden walls. Some more lawn area pictures of what the inspiration is to have it look like. The idea of landscaping and fencing along Bertha Place. So I'm free to answer any questions. I also have, as an attendant, Isabel Herbold, who's a designer with Sale. She's the designer. So if you have any questions, she could answer any questions for you as well.
So we did receive 2 letters, which I think 2 different people. Just John Dimling was one letter, and then Clem Turner and Lisa Bookwalter. I'm guessing you read these? And,
Yes.
do you want to go back to the Bertha fencing and kind of explain how you're addressing the concerns? Because I'm not really clear on which fence. We've seen a couple different
Right.
fencing that you said were on Bertha.
Okay. So I had. Right, so, that is the fence along Bertha Place. And let me just get to a plan. Okay. Right, so along here is the wooden fence that you just saw.
It's not sharing.
Let's do this again. Okay, you see it now?
Yeah.
So this is the wood picket fence that you just saw along Bertha. Any questions on that?
Is that called out in the plan? Because I just really could not find it.
Wood picket fence installed on property line, Bertha Place, right here.
So
And then
where's the deer fence?
So this is where the evergreens are. And the deer fence was proposed through this area. And Isabel, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And then there's a wood picket fence that continues along this eastern side as well.
So the deer fence is right next to where it says Kraus.
Yes. So this right here is the property line. So it weaves in between the evergreens,
I see.
roughly 10 feet to 7 feet off the property line.
And then the red again is the
And then
wood
the red again
picket.
is the wood picket fence, correct?
Okay.
I would just add and speak directly to the letters, that there was confusion as to where the metal mesh deer fence was and where the wood picket fence was to go. So that's what this marked up plan is clarifying and showing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm clear now. Do we have any other questions from the board?
No, not right now.
Do we have anybody that wants to?
Heidi Kraus has her hand raised.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Heidi Kraus. We are neighbors of the Wilfords at 14 Bertha Place. I also submitted a letter. It sounded like maybe you didn't receive that. I know Sarah Palermo said it was distributed on Tuesday.
Okay.
Because I continue to have concerns about the deer fence, so I wanted to talk a little bit about that if you did not receive my letter. I believe it went out, but happy to share my screen and kind of walk you through my concerns.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Do you want me to share my screen with my letter? Because I also have pictures.
Sure.
I'm not sure, do I have the ability to do that or?
I'd have to promote her as a panelist to share her screen. I only gave her permission to speak.
Sorry, do I have the ability to share my screen, or if not, I'll just read the letter, but I do have some pictures sort of highlighting my concerns.
I can promote you as a panelist. Okay, there's an issue with Zoom. It's not allowing me to change you to a panelist.
So I have the letter in front of me.
Okay.
I believe the other members got the letter, so you can just.
Okay, so they did receive the letter.
Yep.
Okay. So I wasn't sure if you were going to read the letters. I know that has been done in the past, and if not, I'm happy to share my concerns and see how we may come to a nice resolution here.
Yeah, you can proceed. I think there was some confusion on the drawings. Certainly what they
Well-
presented was very different than what I initially thought.
Yes, I believe what was, so well, I have multiple concerns, but I think there was some confusion around what the fencing was on Bertha Place. Because it looked like there was a set of drawings that included a mesh fence, and it sounds like the Bertha Place fence is in fact a wooden fence. Is that correct? No mesh, no wire mesh in the front on Bertha Place?
That's correct.
Okay, well, that's helpful. My concerns continue to be with the deer fence, which is currently proposed in that center line between these very high mature trees. And thank you very much to the board for the time to speak here. While we do understand that our neighbors have the right to fence their property, we're opposed to the current placement. This runs very closely along the length of our driveway. It sits approximately 29 feet from our home. While I know in the stated plan here, it says that the fence is actually obscured. For us, it is not. For them, I think that their house is, if I calculated this correctly, and I might be off by a little bit, their house is about 266 feet from the deer fence per the plans. For us, this proposed deer fence would be 7 feet from our property line and about 29 feet from our home. And it's actually on a side of our house that we use very frequently. Those trees separate our properties today. That deer fence is there are very visible foliage gaps. And, I think the board, it sounds like you have the pictures, but that deer fence will be visible to us. It's going to be in our line of sight multiple times a day. Every time we're at our kitchen window using the sink, going to the refrigerator, every time we get in and out of our cars, we don't have a garage. We use the side door that's directly facing that area with the proposed deer fence. And we're asking for it to be pushed back so that it's along the trunks of the trees that face their home. We have no way, we have no property lot, we have no actual property to work with to plant any additional screening for where there are going to be some sizable open spaces where we will see this deer fence. And again, it's adjacent to our driveway. At the end of our driveway, we're only working with 14 inches of width there. So we have no ability to plant anything. I think the other point that I had stated in my letter, and I'll state while I have everybody's attention, the deer fence that they're proposing is very different from any deer fence placement in our neighborhood. There are on Bertha Place 2 homes that have a deer fence. However, and that's the Dimlings and the Barnetts. Both of those deer fences sit behind the tree trunks and they face the owner's home. Most of them are also 4 feet high, and no one's deer fence is as close to an adjacent neighbor's main home windows, home door, or driveway. So not in the direct line of sight to what's being proposed here. So, respectfully, we're asking for the Architecture Review Board's help in pushing back this deer fence farther away from our property line, so it sits more on those outermost tree trunks, directly facing the Wilford's home. I know what they're proposing is going to be beautiful for their own use. They have ample room there to do screening for any type of fence. We do not have anything, and we're going to be sort of stuck with the view of their deer fence once it goes into place. We have no ability to cover it in any way, shape, or form. Additionally, we're requesting some screening where they're going to, once aside from the deer fence, the mesh wire fence that they're placing between the spruce trees, we're asking if they could do screening in front of the wood fence that will continue along the property line. We're not really that interested in seeing their fence. It's very open today. There's no plants today. We can see through to each other's properties. We respect their right to have privacy there, but we also don't have an interest in looking directly at a wood fence. We would have happily have planted our own shrubs there, but again, we have 14 inches of width of property to work with. So we're hoping that we can work something out so that they have the fence they want, and then we don't see it because we have some nice shrubs in front of it. The one last thing I'll just add here with the proposed placement with the center line of the trees is that, while I recognize that the trees sit on their property, by trying to put a fence in the middle of those trees, our belief is that they're going to be breaking some branches there. I think it's pretty hard to accommodate putting a high wire fence in the middle there without breaking branches, which has the possibility of hurting the trees. And going back to the impact on our view, we think that that's going to make the foliage gaps even worse. So we appreciate your help. We're hoping to move forward in a way that works for everyone.
Okay. Thank you. I would ask that the applicant's representatives kind of address this question.
Can I respond to this?
Yes.
So, so I wanted to just, for one, address your concerns, Heidi, and also remind you and the board, this has been an ongoing process, filing with the planning board previously, and this is the second letter. And after your first letter, actually, we redesigned the fence. We used to have a solid vertical board, still cedar, still aging to silver, still trying to be, natural as possible. And we had more linear feet of deer fence, hence this confusion amongst neighbors, some misinformation going around, and just as a result of these design changes. And then also, besides changing the design of the fence to be transparent and lower, we did move the fence quite far off the property line. I believe the clients were very, generous with that move. And also our main goal is to protect the mature trees at this property. This property has mature trees all around the perimeter, which is actually addressed in some of the other neighbor letters, which we may get to after this, but you know, it's notated clearly on the plan at this point that the fence will be going through the center line of the trees, which is a pretty typical solution for thick trees. That metal mesh deer fence should not be damaging any, you know, it's the least invasive type of fence for root systems. And then I also just wanted to share the screen for you and the board to show that although, let's see, you do not have space on your property because of the adjacency of your driveway, since we've pulled the fence off, oh, whoops, this is something else I'll get to. We have, here, this is the planting plan. See this boundary here where my cursor is? It's pulled off. It needs to be laid out in the field. These trees, as you can see, these circles are the center line of the tree from the survey. It'll need to be laid out in the field. So there's some wiggle room here with field conditions. It's going through the approximated center line. As a result, at least from the survey and the plan, to the best of our abilities, we've represented it, and it's 7 to 12 feet off of the shared property line, and we are planting screening on both sides. The clients are also open to, you know, discussing that, or, you know, planting something that's amenable to you as it is, you know, experientially on your property, although in fact it is, you know, Brad and Aaron's property. So I just wanted to show that this area where there's shrubs and evergreen shrubs as well. And then I just wanted to address, in fact, speaking on behalf of the clients, several of the letters refer to, you know, the neighborhood being fenceless, or, you know, this being contextually inappropriate. And actually, the one adjacent neighbor that we did not receive a letter from is the Tobias property. And this is a picture outside of Brad and Aaron's window when they first moved into the home. This fence is 14 feet away from their dining room, you know, and since then they've done some landscaping, installed the fence, etc. So I just wanted to show that. And, you know, it's not the only location where people are looking at a fence, and it also is, you know, the kitchen, the heart of the home for them. And you know, we're planting that as well. So yeah, there's the setback already, the change in design, and the current planting plan. So I wanted to share that with you because, again, we want clarity. We realize there has been some confusion or misinformation sown. So I hope that offers some clarity for you as well, and for the board.
Did you, this plan for the plantings and fence location, this has all been approved by the planning board?
Dave can speak to that more clearly.
So we've been in front of the planning board for around 5 to 6 months. This location has been in front of the board, I believe, for the past 2 meetings. The only reason we did not get site plan approval from the planning board last meeting was because there was a question really regarding the existing stormwater drainage system of the house. Hudson Engineering, basically our response to the question was we will address it, you know, when we get a machine on site to see what's there, because there's no way to really, you know, figure out where the existing drainage goes without digging up the backyard. So they wanted clarity on that. Hudson Engineering spoke with Mr. Hahn's office, and they basically agreed that that will be the way that will be handled. So, you know, a few other minor things having nothing to do with the fencing or the landscaping, because I think everyone is happy with it. That was really the only reason why we didn't get approval.
So I'm sorry, you don't have approval yet?
No, so we are anticipating an approval at the next meeting.
Okay, so this plan has the location of the fence and the plantings on it in front of the planning board at this point.
Correct.
So we pretty much come after them. And once they rule on where the fence is located, we have no power to compel the owner to move the fence at that point. It's approved. So I just wanted to point that out, that we can't, that's not under the guise of this board to move the fence. That's something that has to be taken up from planning.
Should we not be voting until planning board approves this?
Yeah, I'm surprised that the application is here at this point.
Yeah. Usually it gets
One
approved.
thing that happened was this was filed May 5th, and we had conditional approval at that time because of other issues that, it's been months, and at that time we had conditional approval and the green light to file this set. So
Right. They also sent us to the zoning board with the conditional approval of the site plan approval. So we got the zoning variance for lot coverage. So they actually moved us forward to both other boards. Because I'd presume that they were satisfied with, locations of, the pool, the fencing, the screening, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so if you've got conditional approval from the planning board, then there are no further changes on the planning side. You're just waiting for your ZBA variance.
ZBA, we received approval already. So it was basically, like I said, it was basically the technical review for existing stormwater. There was that comment, and there was a comment regarding, they wanted a detail on a swimming pool, which we provided. And, there was something about a backflow preventer for the water line in the house. And a couple of notes that were missed, and that was really it.
Yeah, this is very unusual. We typically need to be after planning has issued their approval. Just to make sure, I guess, to make sure there's no changes, but I'm kind of leaning towards you should come back with your approvals. Because what the letters are referencing items that are about this plan, that the planning board should be approving, not us. Location and the plantings, actually. Once your landscape plan is approved by planning, we don't really have power to compel the applicant to change it. So I think we need to put this one off. Okay. All right, I guess, there's more people that want to talk, but we'll let them in, we'll listen to the comments, but I think you're gonna have to come back. Yeah, go ahead.
First one that had their hand raised was the homeowner.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Brad Wilford, the owner of the property. I just wanted to point out that a couple years ago, on May 23rd, 2023, a version of the fence was already approved. Was approved by the planning board. We ended up not installing the fence then because we decided to expand the scope and do what we're trying to do now with some more landscaping and everything. But the fence itself was approved. And I wanted to make sure the board was aware of that. This is something that's been approved before. There was no letters or dispute from anyone at that point. So it sounds like it doesn't matter. We need to come back for other reasons, but I wanted it to be known that this has been approved already.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, there were two hands raised that are no longer raised. Heidi and Clem. If you still wanted to talk, please hit the raise hand button.
Hi, thank you so much. I just wanted to respond to Isabel's comments briefly. We certainly appreciate that Brad and Erin did move the deer fence back a bit. To be really clear, the initial proposal was exactly on our property line for the deer fence, and without exaggeration, if it were to have gone there, we would have hit our car door on it. It was that close. So moving it back 7 feet minimum, which I think is, somewhere around where that center line is certainly appreciated. I will still ask, if at all possible, for it to move further back. We would very much appreciate it because we have no ability at all to screen in front of it. Those trees are really high. We're working with very limited space. It's like 1.5 feet in front of there. We have no ability to plant anything to cover up what are on our side very large visible gaps. And honestly, looking at a wire mesh fence on a daily basis, multiple times a day, is really not appealing to us. So big appreciation that they moved it back from the property line. It would be nice if it was consistent with how all of our other neighbors have their deer fences, which is on the backs of the trees facing their property, and most of them are also 4 feet high. So I guess I realize that this, needs to wrap up, but I would appreciate if that would still be considered because that is our strong hope.
Okay, thank you.
Clem Turner.
Hello.
Hi. Go ahead.
Hi. Hi, this is Clem Turner. I live in the house marked Bookwalter on the plan, so I'm the neighbor on the other adjacent property. And Heidi obviously is the other adjoining property owner with respect to the proposed fence. I understand this is going to be sent back. I just wanted to point out a couple of things. When I looked at the plan, it did seem to me that the fence was going to go along the property line at Heidi's and going along the property line with my property. My letter speaks to, my concerns about it going down the property line with respect to our properties, which, I hope at some point will be taken into consideration. I just was curious, to the extent it goes back to the planning board, should we raise our issues in that venue at that time? I've spoken with Brad and Erin, and I've gotten assurances that there would be compromises, but yet I don't see any of those in the actual plan submitted. And as you said, I think once this plan is approved, I don't think they'll be able to make any changes to it. So we're just looking to have whatever compromises we reached codified in the final plan, so that we all have, assurances that everyone's going to be happy and pleased with the new fence that they're building. As a side point, I think with respect to the Tobias's fence, that fence is pre-existing. That fence was there when we all moved in, and we moved in about 13 or 14 years ago. So when the Wilfords moved into the property, they knew that fence was there. This fence is being proposed now, and to the extent it changes, the aesthetic character as well as, the underlying property values, I think that, the Tobias's fence, I don't think, should be taken into account. I think the existing deer fences that exist in the neighborhood should be what govern here and should be, yeah, and we should follow the example of our other neighbors with respect to, not hindering other neighbors' views to the extent possible.
Okay, just to answer your question, when it goes, I don't know what state it is in the planning board, but if they're reviewing the fence location and the landscape plan, then all of the comments on those two items have to go through them. Once it reaches us, that's approved and set in stone.
Okay. Oh, and just as an aside, I sit on the zoning board of appeals.
Mhm.
And their architect, when we were deliberating whether or not to grant the variances, the architect said that the fence would be moved between 8 and 12 feet from the Kraus property line. So that's another reason why I'm a little bit surprised that that the fence is still appears to be adjoined to their property.
Okay.
All right, I'm done. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
So can I just respond to that?
Yes.
So the fence is clearly shown with dimensions off the property line. There's a note leader that inadvertently didn't get stretched back to where it was supposed to be stretched. But clearly I've got it's 7 foot and 12 feet setbacks on one of the site plans. It's just the note leader didn't get dragged over.
Okay.
Homeowner wants to speak again.
All right. All right, go ahead.
Let the homeowner speak first.
Yeah, thanks. I wanted to make that point as well that Dave Barbuti just made. I guess I'm a little confused by what Clem was referring to, that assurances we made that aren't coming through. We changed the fence because he requested it. We've moved the fence because he requested it. He asked us to put a gate, which will cost money. We're putting it there. I'm not sure what else we need to do to satisfy him.
It sounds like it's in there. These drawings are very dense and hard to catch everything. That, I believe David said that's in there, 7 to 12 feet.
I mean, for clarity, I'll put together a site plan that just shows fence locations. I mean, I think that's the only thing that I could possibly do. But I think it's pretty clear on where things go.
Okay, again, that would just.
Right, but that's a site plan issue.
Right, that's not us.
So
Okay.
Hi, yes, can you hear me? Oh, I'm sure you can. I can see my X. To the extent there was a note that was left off the plans, then that's great. If I misread the plans, then by all means, I'm happy to be educated. And if if David, if the assurances that you made to the zoning board of appeals, which I sat on, if you're going to follow through with those, then that's great. That's what I would have expected. And so, if like I said, if there's a misunderstanding because the plans are hard to read, I'm happy to be corrected and hope that that's the case.
Okay,
It is.
thanks, Clem. All right, I guess we'll close this down and we'll see you after your site plan's approved.
Punt it to the next one.
Thanks. All right, we'll move on to 2025-38, Whiteshell, 3 Beechwood Road addition.
Zoom is having an issue and it's not letting me promote James Gunn. Architects.
Do you need to dial back in?
Maybe, James, can you log off and try coming back in and see if that will let me promote you? It's not letting me promote him. There's an error code and I don't know how to fix that.
Do you need to restart?
Why don't you log out and then log back in?
I don't know if I can because I'm the host. I don't know if that will shut down the meeting. Can I share the plans? This is a Zoom issue that I can't fix.
Can you talk?
Let me see. James, can you talk?
Hello?
Hi, we're having problems.
I know. I keep trying to join as a panelist and it's not letting me in.
The issue's on our end, I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. I've been listening along and I'm not sure what's happening, but I can, Sarah, I don't know if I'm allowed to share, but can you share what I sent or can you post what,
I am trying to do that right now.
and honestly, if you need me to, I can run up the hill. I'm like 5.
I really hate to say that it's gonna be an option because I can't pull up your plans either on the website.
Tell you what, can I mail you the plans literally right now and you open them? Is that viable?
I do not have access to my email here.
Okay.
I apologize.
I hate to have technology get in the way of listening to all the awesome fence talk.
James,
what do you
just send me the digital file and well, actually it says I'm not connected to the internet here. So it's just
Sarah, I'm just responding to the ARB email right now with the
I
drawing
know,
file.
and it's actually not letting me pull up. I was gonna try to
I
forward to my
haven't
personal
even hit send.
email, and it's just nothing is coming up. So this is gonna be I'm gonna have to ask about this tomorrow morning, about how to not have this happen again. I'd really hate for the option to be for you to come up here and bring your.
No, I don't,
plans.
I don't mind. I'd only just be like bringing my laptop and an iPad.
Okay. Because I'm trying and it's not letting.
Is anybody behind me on the agenda?
No. You're the last one.
Okay, if you
Okay,
literally
let me
give
try
me,
let me try one more thing, because maybe it's
Okay.
just. I'm so sorry. This has never
no
happened.
worries.
In all the Zoom era, this has not happened before.
Are you able to get onto the Irvington website?
That's the problem. Because that's where the plans are uploaded, that I
Yeah.
could share my screen, and it is not working right now. So there is some issue that I think are,
Can you get to your personal email?
I can't get to anything.
Are you on the internet?
No, so I think this Irvington Gov is down. I mean, the Wi-Fi here. Connected, but it's not on. Try through my phone.
Guys, I don't mind coming up, but Mike, I did just forward you the submitted plans. I'm not sure if that helps anything, but
I'm trying still.
All right, I'm on. Can I share?
It might be the same issue. I may not be able to promote you as a panelist. Yep. You're not gonna be able to share the screen.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I guess we're down to paper. Well, the board here can look at my laptop. I have the plans up.
Yeah, the plans up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can all do. We all saw before anyway, because we do that.
You want to just talk through it?
yeah, totally. If you're willing to,
Yeah.
Just tell us
deal
what
with,
page. Actually,
sure.
I'm saying I'm recused.
I know.
Look.
You're not even part of this.
You read it in
Are you looking
slots.
at the just what you're starting with? You're looking at T001 ARB submission. It's like my front title page with photos on the right-hand side or left-hand side to you.
I have like page 4 or 5.
Are you looking at is it a PDF
Yeah.
with like photos? But it's not a drawing set that has
Uh,
numbers in the right corner. I submit two things. One is a supplemental package of like photographs and information, but they're the same thing. So
Okay, I'm at T001.
T001. So you're looking at the drawing set. So just for frame of reference, this is 3 Beechwood. The basis of the proposal is to put a second story addition on top of the existing garage. It's no change to footprint. The materials themselves are essentially matching the existing, so we're not making dramatic changes to materials. If you want to scroll to, we've already gone through planning board and gained approval. We had a small variance to add an outdoor sink to the rear. That's already been approved. If you go to DM 100, that's the demolition plan. You'll see orange blocks. Not sure if you see that. It's page 3 of the PDF.
Yeah,
So the orange
garage.
area is what we're demolishing, which is essentially the roof of the garage, some minor interior work to the existing bathroom. So essentially what we're creating is a bigger primary suite. And if you scroll forward, next page, DM 200 is what we're proposing ripping off the building. 201 includes the addition of a couple of windows on the south side of the building, which is ostensibly somewhat facing Osceola, if you look at the site plan. And they're essentially mimicking what's on the front of the building. If you go to A100, which is page 6 of the PDF, that just shows the proposed plans on the second floor. So it is a primary bedroom, primary bath, office, and a dressing suite. And if you go to A200, you can see the front elevation, which is the most impacted. On the left-hand side, everything is essentially, remains the same. We're matching the same white siding, same shutters, little pent roof awning over top of the garage door to break things up, and a gable forward cross gable over the ridge. And then you can see the other elevations related to it. It's essentially, mimicking existing conditions, and no major change to footprint except on the second floor. And that's it from my end. So sorry, I can't present more clearly, but it's fairly straightforward.
Okay. That seems pretty clear. Any questions? I have no questions on this.
Great.
So I move to approve this application as stated. Documentation. Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Randy. Sorry
Thanks,
for the
James.
technical issues, guys.
All right.
Your fault.
Have a good evening.
There's nothing else. I will make a motion